are the stakeholders, the owners of the project, the main stakeholders. So this is my table of contents. Hello, are you with me, please? Are you all with me? Hello?
Go ahead, Romeo. We can hear you.
Yeah, I just needed feedback. You know, the internet is not consistent. So sometimes I might be speaking to the air. So I want some reactions as I continue to speak. Okay. All right. So that's my table of contents. Gives an overview of what this business requirement document entails. So I think I don't have to spend my time here. So there is a table to give us the revision history. If this BRD is not the first of its kind, this will give us details of the previous versions of it, where perhaps some changes might have occurred on the document. Approvals. Okay, I'm answerable to the main stakeholder. In this case, I would just say it's Nana Samuel Boatin. So he has to give the main approvals. Then I took some dummy data from your own BRD that you did for Sun City or whatever. So these are people who are just going to review. So the reviewers, there are two categories of reviewers. We have people whose input really matter, as in the approval means the project won't continue. The approval counts as to whether the project will continue or not. Those are the first set of reviewers. The second set of additional reviewers, the approval is not required, but their feedback is welcome. They are listed below. And then we go on to the project overview. The project overview is like, in other words, the business overview or the business problem. In other words, we say the business problem. Now, so what is the problem? ABC Financial Group have taken interest in embedded finance, EF. We have realized a lot of people are asking for loans to finance their health treatments. So the company wants to venture into healthcare finance. There are certain surgical procedures that insurance cannot cover. For example, veterinary services, other cosmetic procedures like plastic surgery, dental, etc. When traditional insurance stands and ABC Financial wants to be the alternative. So you have the business problem. And then we move on to the solution overview. What's the solution? The solution we are working on is to work in conjunction with providers. Providers here mean hospital and doctors. Will have a web-based application to oversee the entire process. What assumptions are being made for this project? We expect that the web application will have the following portals: the providers portal, the borrowers portal, lenders portal, services portal, risks. With the risks, I was supposed to state the risks and give solutions to the risks, but I've just listed them. I think it might have escaped me. So we are one of the risks that will come with this project is the patronage, because users, I mean, those who want ABC loans will be limited by credit score. Some people will not be credit worthy because if the person who is asking for loan has to have shouldn't have a certain credit score or beyond a certain credit score. So people are limited by their credit score. So there will be low patronage. There might be low patronage. Unavailability of providers, because you need the healthcare providers for this project to be successful. If the healthcare providers don't buy into this idea, this project will not come to realization. Unfavorable interest rates. For those who are coming for the loan, they are looking at repayment, repayment, you don't pay just the amount, you pay the interest on top. And so if the interest rates are unfavorable, you will not get people to patronize. Okay. So in addition, we needed to look at solutions for this risk, which I have not provided. So short for. Then in scope functionalities. At the end of the application, but when the application is ready, it should have the ability to initiate borrower application, or let's say the MVP, the minimal viable product, should have this. It should be able to initiate borrower application. It should have the ability to do credit check of the person asking for a loan. I mean, the borrower, the system should do a background check on the borrower to check if it's credit worthy using credit bureaus like Equifax, TransUnion, etc., to check if the borrower is credit worthy. Then some out-of-scope functions. There are a lot of in-scope functionalities, but this is where the two I could think of. Out-of-scope functionalities, the system should be able to do filing of lenders. Those financial institutions, insurance companies, individuals, banks, those who are in a position to dole out cash to support to give financial institutions in general. Hello? Hello? Hello?
We can hear you. Romeo, please continue. We can hear you.
So we do requirement.
Okay, so I think he dropped off from the. I think he's having issues with his connectivity. Let's give him some few seconds for him to rejoin. And guys, make sure that when you join in the class, make sure that you always check your connectivity. Make sure that your access is stable.
Hello, you were mentioning something. I lost the connection there. So just summarize what you said.
Yeah, go ahead, Romeo, and finish up.
Yeah. So you are talking about the time, I guess.
No, I was saying that you were asking if we could hear you, and I said yes, we could hear you. So go ahead.
So okay, good. I like that feedback. All right. So so I was mentioning the requirements providers portal. I explained what providers are early on. I mentioned that the providers are the hospitals and doctors going to render their services. Okay. The doctor is required to ask the kind of insurance you have in case your insurance cannot cater for this service. you are then introduced to ABC Financial Services. This portal initiates borrower's application. So this is where the providers come in to either register themselves and to maybe initiate the process to enter a borrower into the system. So there are two things involved. They register themselves when the person is introduced to ABC Financial Services. These services, when you come to this online portal, when you come to the site, if you're a provider, if you want to register yourself to be part, you go to the provider's portal. Aside that, this is the place where you come and initiate a borrower's registration process from the provider's side. So to collect provider's information, the provider is, if the provider is a hospital, the provider is supposed to have an ID which will be internally generated by the system. The provider is supposed to input their name, their location, what kind of grading is their facility. You know, in hospitals, even in Ghana here, hospitals have grades. There are some hospitals which are kind of, they are higher in kind of grades than other hospitals. Okay, you can't compare some village hospital to the Bank of Ghana hospital or something like that. So there are grades in hospitals. So you tell us the grade, is it an A class hospital, B or C? Then we are supposed to have the phone number of the hospital, if the hospital has an email address, a website. These are requirements, or these are information that we need to take from a provider who is a hospital. Then for a doctor, just like the hospital ID, it will be generated internally by the system. Doctor's ID will be generated internally by the system. Doctor is supposed to input name, state which department. All doctors have their specialty. You need to state what kind of doctor. Are you a general practitioner? Are you a neurosurgeon? Are you a cardiovascular surgeon? Are you this, blah, blah, blah? Are you a dermatologist? Are you a plastic? You have to state your specialty, your phone number, and your email address. When patient is entered the system, the form is redirected to a second page. A two-factor authentication could be system generating a PIN, send it to your email, go and take the link, which will go back to your email, take the generated code, come back to the site, input, blah, blah. It will also be identifying some objects, like Google does, identify some objects to hello?
Yes, you're back on again. Romeo, go ahead.
The system should be able to run a credit check on the individual using credit bureaus like Equifax. In the borrower's portal, the borrower should be able to register. We need fields, these fields, the first name, middle name, which is optional, the last name, phone, email, cost, be able to see, in any case, if you took a loan, you should know how much you owe. You should be able to review all your payments you receive. You should be able to track all your repayments, every financial transaction ever since you joined. That is on the side of borrower's portal. So the borrower should be able to do all those functions. And in the form, we need all the fields that I've listed above. Then there's service portal, services portal. That portal, the UI requirements. In that portal, we have a lot of tables showing how applications are going to be processed, a table to show all requests, so on and so forth. It should be able to give us the analytics of all transactions that are happening, blah, 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 blah. Then the lending portal, from the lending portal, all financial institutions that are interested to provide funds, this is where they do their registration. So I think
I think he dropped. Emmanuel, are you still on? I see that you're still on here. Okay.
I'm still on. Today the network is just, yes. So let me just wrap up to that. Okay. So that is for the lending, the services portal, the lending portal. I think there should be a form that should require certain information about this institution, the kind of financial institution they are, their name, their location, blah, 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 their branches, all of that. Those information should come under lending portal. And then on that side should also state how much the interest is, as stated by Nana, the interest is going to be shared 60-40. 60-40. The lending institution takes 40%. Okay. So because of time, I have to be fast. Okay, this is a wireframe. This gives just a visual idea about how the whole thing is going to look like. So the whole thing on the side is going to look like you have some navigation menus on the top. The header will have some welcome information, blah, 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 blah. Next, we should have the buttons that will link to the various portals, or perhaps talk a little bit about the various roles under the system, and then provide a link to the individual portals. The top footer should have contact information, links to the various portals, a short summary information about the company ABC Finance. Then the footer should have information about, let's say, the design of the application, or the year the application is running or it was created, blah, blah, blah. Then we have some technical design notes or estimation points. Decision history. The project is going to be built starting from the provider's portal. So we start from top to down. the project will be built. We'll start from the providers portal, then we'll go on to the lending, the borrowers portal, then we move on to service portal, the lending portal, in that order. The decision maker, the main stakeholder, Samuel Boateng, is going to agree or not whether or not the project moves in that direction. Okay. So once the decision is being made, these are the attendees, myself and another person, Mame, these are dummy information. Okay, so beneath should have a glossary of technical terms, abbreviations and their full meaning. So some of the abbreviations are used in this BRD, non-functional requirement, NFR, EFS, embedded financial services, BRD, business requirement document. These are the only, I think these are the only abbreviations that were found in the document. So this is just a summary. It doesn't really have some meat and potatoes like my boss always says. So I think we'll improve upon this. Yeah, so boss.
All right, great. Great presentation. I'm just going to give you guys, the audience, 1 minute questions. What did he miss? What do you need, clarification on? You want him to maybe explain something, and then let's get going.
Hello, Nana. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear. Go ahead and
Yeah, I can hear you.
Great. So this is Emmanuel Labi. Can you go back to the very first page, page 1? I see your creation date and revision date as the same. Are you able to explain that? How is it that you create a document and then the same day is revised?
This is the first. Okay. Yeah, this is the first of its kind. This is the first of the BRD document. This is a brand new project. And so we haven't previously done any BRD. This is the first of its kind. So it hasn't been revised before.
Yes, but once you state the same dates, then you create the impression that it is the same date. I may be wrong though. I may be wrong. So
maybe we'll have to take off revision because it hasn't. I agree with you. So the revision shouldn't have appeared because it hasn't been revised before.
Exactly. Okay, so if that is it, and your scope, I think you learned a lot of content. And then when you go back to the service portal, the service portal, you were saying that it acts as the NFR. Are you able to explain that?
Well, let me go
service portal.
Yeah, it's as stated in the audio to listen to. So I think I blindly copied without really understand. But
okay.
Can you hear me, please?
I get what you're saying.
You get me?
I get you. I get you if you say what.
So, okay.
Yes, and I think the stakeholder also give us some requirements in terms of the providers, the number of states we should look at.
Yeah, I think I missed that. I missed that one too. Thank you.
That's fine. I think I don't want to sound too hard, so I think I'll drop here. Thank you.
No, so it is not about you sounding like you being firm with him or you being hard, like you're saying. We want to make sure that there's clarity when it comes to the requirement. What did he miss out? That is the reason why I stated that in my comment or in my message yesterday, because there are specific things that when you're in a big project, you cannot be doing something that you prefer, right? You have to stick to what the stakeholders has asked you to do. And so this is why in this presentation effort, like, the audience, you guys are listening in, make sure that, you're keeping everybody, you're like your brother's keeper, right? Make sure you're keeping everybody on their toes, making sure that is this what the stakeholder said? And I know in my previous batch, they were I really love it, right? They will come in and out just like that. Say, hey, you stated this over here in the functional requirement, but the stakeholder did not say anything like that. Can you explain? Right? I want you guys to go in like that. Be everybody's, keeper, the gatekeeper for proper elicitation of requirement, making sure you're capturing the right details, etc. So don't take it like you're trying to be hard on him. We're trying to help everybody, right? That is the angle I want you always to sort of sit. Yeah, somebody wanted to say something. Who else has a
Okay, no, let me go.
Okay, all right, go.
Okay, so it was a nice presentation. I enjoyed it. But then there were a few things which I did not understand about your BRD, because a few requirements which the stakeholder mentioned, but I didn't see it included in the document. I know it's just the first draft, but you didn't mention how, or maybe I didn't see it, but you didn't mention how the credit score, the cutoff points of 700 on the credit score, and how probably the applicants will be rejected based on that. Also, the interest amount and the discounts, the 1% discount when the automated payment systems was being made. And some of the points too were a bit vague, but when you explained it, I understood it. But as they were written, I didn't actually know what they were until you started explaining some of them. So these are some of the few things which I found troubling about your work.
Okay, now loudly again. Can I go ahead?
Hello?
Yeah, can I speak this, Emmanuel? I want some clarity on the presentation. I don't know if you can come.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so my worries has to do with his last of the presentation, where he said you have to move the lenders, borrowers, and the services and providers portal, sending their details into their portals. Other parts. These are they. What I understand is that these very things that you are mentioning, they are more like a modules. Okay, modules within the system, which individual people like the providers can go to their module and register. When you are a borrower, you can also go to your module or your column or your platform and register. But the last part of your presentation, it seems like you are going to have a portal for a borrower. There's a portal for. So I want clarity on that, because kind of a portal and module has different perspective altogether. Can you come in for please?
I'm not sure if Emmanuel, you're speaking, but you're on mute. So you can unmute yourself so we can hear you.
Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you now. You can respond.
So please, I believe that you are seeing them in different contexts, but here models and portals, I'm seeing them as same, because it's just one system with 4 branches, or what we are seeing as modules. So technically, I'm using the word we understand we have the buyer's portal, we have the borrower's portal, we have the seller's portal. So which are modules, portals and modules, just what's stated in my BRD document. With respect to your BRD.
Okay, all right, Emmanuel. Thank you, Emmanuel. Romeo, thank you for your presentation. We'll go to the next person. Who is the next person? Joshua. Okay, all right. I know he's on. Okay, so go ahead.
Good morning.
Good morning, we can hear you.
My name is Joshua and I'm Semanyo, and I am a product manager for JNS Web Solutions. This is a business requirements documentation that came about after requirement elicitation between myself as product manager for this project and Mr. Samuel Anabwatin, who is the executive sponsor of the project. Mr. Samuel Anabwatin is the CEO, excuse me, please, is the CEO of ABC Financial Services. And he contacted me as a product manager to help him build this product. The name of the product is ABC Optimal Healthcare Lender. It is basically an online lending platform, but specifically ABC Financial Services, which is located in Atlanta, Georgia, wants to use the platform to reach out to disadvantaged patients who have procedures that are due in the hospital, but do not have available funds for the procedures due to issues with their insurance or their insurance is not covering it. So this business requirements document is the first draft, and it represents the version 1.0 of the ABC Optimal Healthcare Lender application. So I'll quickly take you through it. So ABC Financial Services, by the way, is located on 2201 Fiber Street in Atlanta, Georgia, in the US. So I'll quickly take you through the table of contents. We have the approval references, introduction, the business problem, the solutions overview, assumption, risk, in scope, out of scope, requirements, wireframes, technical design notes, estimation points, and the decisions. I'll try as much as possible to cover the most important places in 10 minutes. So under the approval, as I said earlier, myself, Joshua Enam Semanyo, I'm the product manager, I'm the author also of this document, but Mr. Samuel Anabwatin is the executive sponsor. And this document came about after discussions that we have where I elicited business requirement details from him. In short, I understood what he wanted the product to do, and I've drafted this BRD. So the key person who will give his approval after reviewing this document is Mr. Samuel Anabwatin. However, there are additional reviewers who are in this meeting right now, whose feedback is welcome, but do not, however, have the ultimate approval. So we can see the system analyst, legal advisor of the company, and all listed here. So I'll take you to the references. In development of this product, we realized that since it concerns the health community in the state of Georgia, we needed to really go into details to see the beginning of the problem. So I went for a document known as the Georgia Health Payment Public Study, which is authored by the Georgia Health Council. It was brought out in 2018. This document details recorded issues that patients have had with payment for procedures due to issues with different insurances. And also the project it will have a repository where we'll store all the data and documents that we have been working on. So very quickly, the responsibility for the development of this draft lies with myself, Mr. Semanyo, as the product manager. And also I want to point out that this document will undergo various levels of reviews until my client, Mr. Samuel Anabwatin, is ultimately pleased with it. So what exactly is the business problem that brought about the need for this product? ABC Financial Services, represented by my client, Mr. Samonana Boatin, contacted me and made me aware that as a lending house, whose parent company is ABC Bank of Georgia, they have been in partnership with home improvement companies such as Home Depot, where they give credits to credit-worthy clients to purchase items at Home Depot and then give them an installment payment plan that they can then use to pay. But they realize that in the health sector as well, there is a dire need for their services because it has been reported and documented widely that many patients have issues to pay for high level or expensive surgical procedures and medical treatments. So ABC Financial Services has partnered with several financiers and reputable lending institutions and also some private individuals that are willing to pre-finance this project so that they can lend money or give out funds to patients that need it to help them have their surgery successfully. Okay, so I'll then quickly go to the solutions overview. After the elicitation with Mr. Boatin, realized that the main thing that he needs is an online web platform that will be developed not only for one person, but in 4 segments. That is, for his financiers, we would have the lender portal. And then for the provider portal, the provider is the doctor or the health institution. So the healthcare providers also have the platform. ABC Financial Services itself will have a servicer platform or portal, I beg your pardon, dedicated to them, where they can deal with issues of operations, both of the app and then the processes that have to do with the lending. And then there is the patient's portal as well, known as the borrower portal, where a patient can actually continue registration and complete registration to access the funds. So this product is going to have a number of portals. Quickly mention, we have the lender portal, the provider portal, the borrower portal, servicer portal, and then has to be some APIs between the APIs in the system. So to help with the payment of the funds and even with the release of the funds. So we have some payment gateways. We have escrow accounts installed in the system, as well as Equifax for credit score checking. And then there will also be the SMS gateway API integration when the client or I beg your pardon, when the patients are initiating the registration. Okay, I'm quickly going to take you through a simple use case for the product, how the product is supposed to work. So firstly, the lender or the financier credits escrow, then the provider, who is a doctor, would issue a request for a borrower application. Then the borrower in this case will receive an SMS and an email too with links to continue to a secure page to initialize registration. A one-time password for the sake of security will be sent to the borrower's phone number for validation. If the borrower acknowledges this and enters the 4-digit OTP that is sent to him, he will receive a text, I beg your pardon, called success and a new page would be displayed where he or she can continue with registration. And then the borrower would also be requested to enter his social security number, which is a 9-digit number. And then when he clicks submit, then the process continues from there. So in our system, Equifax will do a credit score check for us, and that will be done in the servicer portal. And then approval will be given to borrowers whose profiles have a credit score of at least 700. So lower credit scores would be declined. And if this is approved and their credit score is okay, automatically the servicer would trigger a request for escrow to immediately credit the provider account for this specific borrower. Once the provider is credited, the borrower is then sent an update that, okay, your process has been finalized, funds have been released for you to have your surgery successfully. And then after this, the borrower can then go on to make installment payment as agreed. We have to know that the servicer would credit the lender, that is ABC would credit the lenders with their principal and then 40% interest. So 60% interest goes to the servicer, who is ABC Financial Services. Assumptions that were made for this project: we believe that ABC already has a relationship with financiers and that the financiers are able to comfortably provide the base amount necessary for the successful implementation of the project. What are the risks? some of the risks we've realized through the early situation is that there may be likelihood of cyber attacks on our system, and we have taken measures to implement some security protocols. Also, we realize that there's a likelihood of a borrower passing on without fulfilling their payment. However, there are systems, legal systems in place in the state of Georgia to deal with this. So we believe that we can move on safely with the project. So in scope, what are some of the things you would, or the main thing we'll find in this project? We would find the provider portal, the lender portal, the servicer portal, borrower portal. There will be SMS Gateway API implementation. There will be escrow institution API. There will be Equifax, which is a credit bureau API. Then there will be a borrower payment API when they want to pay to the banks. Out of scope, what are some of the things that we didn't cover here? We have not integrated a function for spouses, children, or family to be covered by a borrower's application. No, only a borrower can use the application for their procedures. And we didn't integrate the function for requesting extra funds. The borrower would have to have the process initialized all over again to request any other extra funds they need for whatever surgery. And we don't lend to, the product will not allow for lending to customers out of the state of Georgia. And also we didn't integrate the debts registry API to automatically stop debits. And even though we know that ABC has XYZ marketing agent that they work with the banks, it is out of the scope of the discussion I had with Mr. Simon Anabuatin. So I'm not going to build a portal for XYZ marketing agent. What are the main requirements of this document or for the product? I would like to put out there that the business functional requirements it refers to the specific services that the product is to offer. So for version 1.0, when we go into the provider portal, what do we have? We have the provider having the privilege to create entries, modify, and also delete entries. And there is two-factor authentication here in case of any password loss along the way. Also, the provider would receive $600,000 in the escrow account as a base amount that will be held onto, and then as lending is agreed upon from the servicer, funds will be released for specific patients. There will be an interface that would help to do some confirmation to make sure that doctors are still working with their hospitals, or they are still working with ABC Financial Services. And there will be a help desk feature in there to help with issues of using of the online platform. Also, there will be terms and conditions policy acceptance feature in there. The lender portal also has two-factor authentication for password losses. There'll be analytics and reports on how the funds are being released as well. Also has the IT help desk. The servicer portal is where main operations of the whole platform will be done. And it also will have a pre-populated list of lenders and a pre-populated list of providers. This will be mapped to specific specific cities within the state. So each lender may be dealing with a specific provider. All these things will be pre-programmed in the servicer portal. And then the servicer portal will have the ability to trigger SMS to clients upon provider initiation of registration. Also, there's the NFR algorithm for credit score with comments. What is the NFR? This is when the system realizes that we need further reviews. Because we don't want to do this manually and delay the process, we are going to integrate an algorithm to allow for the needing of further review to be done by the algorithm, so that credit scores that we are not too sure of, the system can do with it for us. Then funds will be triggered from escrow when credit score of applicants is above 700. And then in the servicer portal, you can see that there'll be an installments calculator that from elicitation, I realized that my client wants a maximum of 24 months for payment of the funds. And then the procedure dates window within which will allow for clients to have the fund releases, the procedure should not be over 60 days away. And then there will be a feature for both automated and manual payment. So there's 14 interest rates that the borrower has to pay if there isn't an automated system. And then for manual system, they have to have a 15% interest rate. There'll be APIs within this service portal. In the borrower portal, the borrower, when the provider begins the process, they will have the ability to see the provider's input, but it's only in read only. They cannot effect any changes in the provider side of their interface, but they also have the two-factor authentication, as was mentioned earlier, for the beginning or validation of their registration. And then they would now proceed to enter their personal information. So in this field, they will have the place to enter the first name, the last name, phone number, and email. All these are mandatory. However, they can have the option to enter their middle names. The total procedure cost would be there, and they can see that it's $300 to $20,000 maximum. So that is the lending maximum. After further conversations with the Mr. Nana Boatin, we realized that the maximum he wants is $20,000. So they can enter they have the amounts being requested field and amounts paid by you field requested, where they can enter the cost of the procedure. So they have the ability to choose, I beg your pardon, automated payments or manual. So I said earlier, the algorithm will also be able to calculate the interest rate and the duration of the time they want to pay as well. So we also have the place where the address, the hospital name, city, state, and zip code, telephone number, and telephone number of the provider portal pre-populated there. Because the process is began by a provider, the borrower portal for that specific provider would also have all these details about the doctor, his contact, the city, the name of his hospital, and everything. In case the user loses the password, they have we have email verification procedures in there to restore their passwords. And then we have terms and conditions acceptance feature also there. There are various APIs that we've implemented into the system. We have the lender to escrow institution API, where the funds will be put on hold. Escrow helps different institution organizations to share funds, but funds can be held until it's necessary to release. So between the provider and escrow, there's an API, and then there's an API to help with algorithm to help with interest sharing between the lender and the principal. Equifax, who help us with the credit score checking, also have an API, and then there are payment gateway APIs. There'll be different payment options. There's Apple Pay, there is the ACA, there's Visa, MasterCard, there is American Express, all available. Other non-functional requirements that are necessary for this product to be on top and to satisfy our clients is the username policy. Username policy. We have the minimum of 5 characters and maximum of 12 characters that they can use for the username, which in this case is alphabet only. But for the password, there should be a combination of the upper and lower case and at least one number and special characters. A maximum of 25 characters will be allowed. And we intend that the platform will be able to host at least 100,000 concurrent users. And there should be a disaster recovery strategy so that our system will not go down, because we know that we are dealing with so many people at the same time. Also, we integrate SSL certificates in the system to secure the web and would ensure that the platform is using a secure hypertext protocol. Also, we would have measures in there to prevent any form of cross-site scripting, SQL injections, and all. And we'll also have a place where we give information to users on how to be wary or mindful of phishing attacks. And we want that the portal would not be buffering, but rather should load quickly within 5 seconds. So you can see some other business external interface requirements, but I've mentioned them already. I'll quickly go to the wireframe. Sadly, before this document was standard in, wireframes was not fully developed. However, we were able to look at some technical design notes. So what are the clients tools that will be required? You need an Explorer and internet to be able to use the platform. Our hosting platform is Amazon Web Services, AWS. The SMS gateway is a Google Firebase. External interfaces, we're using the RESTful API. The database is the MongoDB. And then the front end, we use Angular, the back end, we use Node.js. Payment gateways, like I mentioned, PayPal, Amazon Pay, ACH, Visa, MasterCard. The API is integrated at the Equifax lender escrow interface and the others. And then there's a small class diagram just showing the connection of the relationship between the different portals. So at the central place, you see the password. So it has 2-factor authentication, a new password, confirming password, email verification, all linked to the lender has this feature. The provider will also have the feature. The borrower will also have the feature. The provider should have had an arrow link into this to show that, beg your pardon. But account registration will be completed for the borrower, where you can see payment type even after funds are released. The servicer platform as well will have this feature of password reset and everything. So you can see some other APIs being shown there. Finally, the estimated points. Our clients made us aware that he wants the project completed in 6 months. So the start of this project will be the 2nd of November 2021 when we started requirements elicitation, and then the final date is the 2nd of May 2022. That's 6-month duration. Within this period, we'll have requirement gathering and the approval from our clients, for which we are doing this presentation now. Then the development can begin, where we develop all the portal. There are different things that we'll be working on various aspects of the program, of the portal. Then after that, we'll have our testing, and then we'll deploy, and then we'll do maintenance, which is very key to ensure that our product is viable on the market, and our executive sponsor is pleased. Finally, after this presentation, Mr. Samuel Anabuat, our executive sponsor, will make a decision on whether the project should go ahead, or there should be some other changes before the requirements document is finalized for the project to continue. Thank you, and this has been a presentation by Product Manager Joshua Enam-Semanyo of JNS Web Solution for our executive sponsor, Mr. Samuel Anabuatin. Thank you so much.
All right, Samuel, thank you very much for this thorough, very detailed presentation. All right, now I will yield to the audience again for questions, clarifications, and whatnot.
Hello.
Okay, sir.
Nana. Hello.
Go ahead.
Please, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Nice one. This is Reed, and I will start by congratulating Enam's presentation. I found something very interesting about the presentation. Can you tell me, is it recorded? Is it a playback or is live?
So what was your question to? What was the question to Joshua on the presentation?
Yeah, the fluidity of the presentation was very nice, such that I wanted to know if it was pre-recorded or he did it live as we speaking. That is not the main question though.
Joshua is live here. He just presented to us. This is not a pre-recorded. We're not playing back any video. This is live presentation.
This is live.
Yes.
Okay, then that is really good. It's exceptional. I congratulate you on that. I want to continue by giving some compliments about some of the details you also went into. They were really informative. Your out of scope was brilliant, very inspiring to me. I copied quite some ideas from there. And also your risk session was also great, very informative. Your diagram, the one that linked the various stakeholder users is also nice. So this is not exactly a question session from me. It's more of congratulation session from me. Well done, bro.
Thank you so much.
Hello, Joshua.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I think as you rightly said, this is top notch. You've done exceptionally well, and
thank you.
You've brought out a lot of details. Yes, so I have some clarification I would like you to. On the bonus portal, right? The PI, the identifiable information, the personal information. I think the stakeholders agree that we are going to use the social security number, which is a 9-digit number, to run the credit check. I'm saying that the bonus, yes, thank you. So we need the bonus social security number. However, I think it does keep you, or I'm the one not seeing that requirement here.
You are.
I'm not seeing the requirement. Yes, the social security number to help you run the credit. the credit score. Okay.
Yes.
I think basically that is the only thing.
I'll put that in.
Sure. Awesome.
It's at the top of the solutions overview, but I sadly couldn't put it here. Thank you for bringing it to my attention.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Awesome. Sure. You're welcome.
Hello. I have a question this time. Hello, Nana.
No, so go ahead. You are addressing Joshua here. So go ahead.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, Joshua. So this goes to everybody. Actually, I want clarification on this. But looking at the content, we are presenting a business requirement document here, and from my personal understanding, it should be more about a material that's comprehensible to the business, okay, and centered around the business, as in the details should all be the business focused. I saw some of the things. I don't know if it's actually kind of legal, but they were more of technical, so that if presented to the stakeholders in the business, okay, or the clients to whom you're doing the system for, the content not too technical, something more like fashioned for the developers or the technical guys than for the business-minded person who just wants a system to interface with and have some desires met. Please, I stand to be educated or corrected here, but this is just my view. I just wanted to have clarity on this, please.
Okay, thank you, sir. Yes, so I want to begin by saying that you are right. Usually the business requirements document is generally less technical than this one is. However, for many other projects, the stakeholder requests or puts forward the desire that he wants some details in there. So that is he wants the functional requirements also stated in the document, because as we saw earlier at the approval section, there are other stakeholders that would have the document to look at. So the CEO himself, Mr. Samonana Button, our executive sponsor himself, may not have so much understanding about the technical things in here under the functional requirements. However, he has people in his team that want to look at this to ensure that the main things that he wants done are put in there. So that is it. So yes, so sometimes the business requirement document is not so technical, but on case-by-case basis, most of them also include the functional requirement. And that is what inspired this particular one after the elicitation with Mr. Samonana Button. Thank you. I hope I've answered you.
Yes, I'm satisfied. Thank you very much.
Yes, are there any more questions, etc.? For Joshua.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Okay. And please, I'd like to ask regarding the limits to the payments. I remember during the requirements elicitation with Mr. Nana, he raised it to $40,000, but I didn't see that in your presentation.
Okay, thank you. So it's interesting. In that elicitation meeting, realize that hello. So in that meeting, in the discussion, I actually brought it up that when it was asked, it was 40,000. But later on, I went through the earlier videos and I realized that I had made a mistake by bringing it up to 40,000. So I included it here, and on the premise that if it is brought up, then that clarification will be made that it was a misstep on my side actually. But what Mr. Nanabuatin requested initially was that the maximum should be $20,000. And this is in the other minutes of videos from the elicitation discussions. Thank you.
Okay, so I have a question. You mentioned that we will not be lending to individuals outside the state of Georgia, but from the requirements, we are operating in 5 other states. So how does this work?
Please come again.
Yeah, you mentioned we'll not be lending to individuals outside the state of Georgia, but then we are supposed to be operating in 5 states. So I don't know if there is something I'm not getting.
Wow, that is yes. It's true. So this is one of the things that I'll request clarification from Mr. Samuel Nanawatin, because in our earlier discussions, I had the understanding that he wanted the products limited to the state of Georgia, but different cities in the state. But so far in the meeting, I realized that he may have actually stated that 5 states of it should be 5 states in the US. And so after this meeting, and from his feedback, all those necessary changes would be made to the document. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And it was a beautiful presentation.
Yes, Joshua.
Hi, Joshua.
Yes, sir.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you. So that was a nice presentation. I just have one question. I know that initially the stakeholder request asked us to do something about how the loans will be signed, and I didn't see anything. So can you like talk a little bit about that? If everything should be approved, how would the customer sign the loan?
How the customers would sign the loan. Yes, so this would be covered in the borrower's portal, but yes, it's one of the things that were not covered here in the document. So after the process is started by the provider, and then the borrower fills or continues ends his registration and select the amounts that they request and everything. If they agree to the terms of the service, that is ABC Financial Services, then they can go ahead and sign the document. I don't know if I am answering you clearly, but if you have any additional information that I missed out on, please, I'll be glad if you give it to me. Thank you. Hello.
Oh yeah, I'm here. Oh, you're welcome. I thought somebody was asking a question. Sorry, you're welcome.
Oh, okay.
So there's a question about the states, and I think during the requirement I said that we're going to be operating in about 5 states, right? So that's what I think I mentioned. If you guys go back to the requirement, I think that's what I mentioned. And then the question on the e-sign, I think I also mentioned that we're going to have some APIs like DocuSign or maybe PandaDoc or something like that, where by using PandaDoc or maybe DocuSign will allow our borrowers to be able to sign online. Everything's going to be e-sign, no paperwork, no manual paper signing of the loan. So, all right. So, anybody else? Anybody else with a question or something, so that we can move on to the next person? All right. So thank you, Joshua, for that great presentation. Let's go to the next person. I believe on my list, who is the next person? Go ahead.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you all.
Okay, my name is, I hope you guys can hear me though.
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead, Samuel.
Okay, that's cool. My name is Samuel Clotte, and I am a project manager, a freelance project manager, to be stated clearly. And this document is a business requirement document for ABC Financial Group. It was authored for Mr. Samuel Boateng, who is the CEO of ABC Financial Group. So this is the cover page of the document. So I move on to the table of contents. So the table of contents just gives a summary of what is visible in the document. So we have the introduction, the project goal, the project overview, project objectives, the stakeholder, project boundaries, which includes the in scope and out of scope, risk assumptions, project deliverables, partners, which also includes the technical design notes, wireframes, and project estimation. So this is the basic content of this business requirement document. So I move on. So the first part of the second, or I think the third aspect of this document is the project goal. So hereby we talk about the project's goal or the goals of this project, which is that this project will deliver an upgrade to an already existing website of ABC Financial Group. And this upgrade will add 4 new portals to the website, which will be called the borrowers portal, the lenders portal, the services portal, and the providers portal. So each portal will serve defined purposes according to its required users, and the required users would be defined by the borrowers portal, which will be the ones borrowing the money, the lenders, which will be the one providing the money, the services, which will be the hospital or I think either the hospital, so we can say the hospital or doctor, and then the providers portal, which will be the participating banks or other financing companies that aid ABC Financing to lend the money. So we move on to the project overview. So this is an overview of the project. It's quite lengthy, so I'll just summarize it a little bit. So ABC Financial Group is a financial organization based in the US, which delivers financial products to improve the lives of their clients or their people. So they have partnerships with, they already have a partnership with home improvement companies such as Lowe's and Home Depot. And, they aid customers in purchasing or financing them to be able to accommodate or design or to improve their homes, basically. So ABC Financial Group has well-established presence in 5 states, namely Georgia, Florida, North Carolina, Massachusetts, and Pennsylvania. So after careful review, the CEO and the stakeholders of ABC Financial Group realized that many patients in all these states weren't able to access quality healthcare due to insufficient funds. And there was an issue where most of the patients were not able to get the health care that was required them. So most of them have, how do they call it? An ID card or like I think an health insurance. So most of these procedures weren't being covered by the health insurance. So after careful review, ABC Financial Group thought it fair in order, as they were already helping people in financing or improving their homes and all that kind of stuff, they thought it fair to also venture, to also venture into healthcare financing, which will help improve the healthcare system in the country and also help improve the customers and the people in America as well. So we move to the project objectives. So this is a summary of the objectives of the project. So the first one is to create a login and sign-in form for the borrowers portal. So we also create or integrate a payment gateway into the website, which is authorized.net, to process and secure all client payments. So this includes the master and debit cards, Apple Pay, and other payment methods, which will be either Android Pay, either Zelle, Cash App, or any other payment method. So we would integrate an e-signing vendor, which is PandaDoc, to sign all contracts and terms and conditions on the platform. So this is I think this is one part for the borrowers portal, whereby it would assign I think a method or a chance or an opportunity for all documents to be signed on the internet on the platform, whereby it's not now that you have to go print out the document and come and sign and take it back to the organization or the provider for it to be reviewed, and then they also sign. It's going to be a long process. By the time your contract will be signed up for you, maybe you would have already died, or your sickness has already killed you. So we would also create a database that will be used to manage and secure the client's data. We would implement a 2FA, which is a two-factor authentication, using Google Firebase, which would be used via text or via email. We would also be integrating an API linked with Equifax to run and check the client's credit scores if they made their target score, which is above 700, which is a great score, or below 600, which is a lower score. So with this, those who meet the target score will be accepted and their contract will be signed, and they would receive the mail or a text confirmation that their contracts have been agreed, and they would then log in into the portal and then sign their documents and then have their documents granted or their funds released. We would also be integrating a verification API to verify if the social security name, social security numbers, and the date of birth matches. So some people will try to scam us by using different social security names and trying to do all this kind of stuff. But we would have an API integrated into the system that would verify all these things. So it would then check the social security name and then also verify the social security number and then the date of birth, if it all matches the social security number that has been provided. So this is also going to help reducing all the server failures. I think this part, I meant to put it in another place. So this is the 5th page. This is the stakeholder. I elicited the requirements of this document from Mr. Samuel Boateng, who is the CEO of ABC Financial Group. He's the one that I spoke to and gathered all the information from. So we move on to the project boundaries. So this is the project boundaries. The first part of the project boundaries is the in scope. So this just defines the features that have been spoken of, in order not to have a situation of a scope creep. We spoke about a lot of functions that we both agreed, as we, meaning I, the project manager, and also the CEO of the organization called ABC Financial Group. We agreed on these functions. So it will therefore be stated here as the in-scope function. So we would be delivering an upgraded functional website. So the second thing we would be delivering would be a design, which is we'll be designing a login and a sign-up form. So these forms would be mainly in the borrower's portal. So with this, the borrower will then log in after the provider has initiated the request of a loan. So that would be that. We would implement an OTP verification. So this is just an on-the-phone verification where after they've signed in or signed up to the borrower's portal, they receive a 4-digit PIN, whereby they could just enter it into the form or the API that they will receive to verify themselves as the right clients of the loan funding system. We would implement a 2FA, which is a two-factor authentication, also just a validation and verification system to verify the people we are accepting into the platform, and if they are the ones truly signing in order to prevent a fraud or any kind of stuff. So we would integrate an API to validate the system, the social security number. So that's the SSN. As I spoke on about earlier, sorry, please. As I spoke about earlier, this is where it all comes in. So we would also be integrating APIs to run the credit scores. We will document the processes detailed in this document, or the processes that were initiated or moved, or all the processes that took place inside this document. So we would also test the website's functionality before handing it over to their design or development team to then put it on live. We never spoke of putting the website live, or after every system has been functionally tested, we would be the ones to put it live. So and then we'll also install a backend admin portal, which will just secure the site. It would basically handle the security measures of the web page. So this is the out of scope. So the out of scope, these are the features that weren't spoken about or we didn't agree upon. And this is to prevent, I said earlier, a scope creep. This is where we would not have any added features where we haven't spoken of to elongate the process of the system or the project. Okay. So this out of scope is an online chat feature. So we didn't speak or we didn't talk about including an online chat feature into the website. We only spoke about the things that were stated in the in scope. So we didn't talk about the website or database maintenance. We wouldn't be the guys, my team and I, as a project manager with my team, we wouldn't be the ones maintaining or managing the database of the website, and we wouldn't be running marketing services, and we wouldn't close accounts that don't want to borrow anymore. We wouldn't be the ones just handling these things. So we move on to the risk. So the risk aspect is where these things could happen. Risks are things that can happen out of the blue. They are not pre-planned or something that we prepare for, even though it is required to prepare for risks. That's why it is stated here, but these are not things that we plan for them. It's just something that they happen or they occur. So we could have server failures, which is an occurable state in all servers that are operational. They could just fail. We could have data breaches from hackers or anyone trying to breach in our system to steal data or funds or anything like that. So another risk is that the borrower might die before refunding the loan. And as stated by the stakeholder, Mr. Boateng, there would be measures put in place to handle all these things. We could have technical hardware system failures, which means that we could have our systems break down, data connection problems, some of our resources are not able to connect to, So most of our hardware systems could fail, but this is just something that we are stating in here that could happen. Domain service downtime, the domain service might go down. We could have security breaches, which I think also talks about having hackers trying to breach into our system. So I think it could have been one instead of these two. So upgrade will require more time to implement and test the functionality of the web page or the added feature you're adding to the site. So it could take much longer than expected. This is one risk. That's why we should prevent project or scope creep to ensure that the project goes as planned and everything in this document leads us into following every step, and it will help the project go as well to satisfy the organization, which is ABC Financial Group. So we have the next page, which is the assumptions. So these are the assumptions based on the interaction I had with Mr. Boateng, who is a stakeholder, the CEO, if I may say. So a developer team will be assigned to maintain the backend servers. This is what I assume as a project manager, not to say that we spoke about it, but this is what I assume that the organization would assign backend servers or people who would maintain the backend service, so that the organization will provide all the necessary information to customize the website. So after the website has been upgraded, that they will provide information to customize the website and all those kind of stuff. So these are two assumptions that I got from our conversation, but not something that he clearly stated. So we go to the project deliverables. So what the project will be delivering is an upgraded website with all new features functional. So the project is delivering a website, an upgraded website to be clear, with all its features functional. So we are not delivering a website with its features. Some of the features aren't functional, whereby most of the features won't be able to work and we would have issues here and there. What the project will also be delivering was all the processes and the system will be documented. This is for further review, or this is to assist other project managers that may come, because I'm a freelance project manager, and I might not be working always for this company. So this is just to put everything down to assist the next project manager who would come if there's any issues, to help them learn about the things that have been done. So we move on to the partnered hospitals. These, as I stated earlier, ABC Financial Group has a standing, or has states where they have hospitals that serve as providers. These states are in Georgia, Florida, North Carolina, Massachusetts, and Pennsylvania. So I stated all their capitals, which is so in Georgia, the capital of Georgia is Atlanta. So these are the hospitals with their addresses and their phone numbers. So this is for Atlanta. This is for the state of Georgia. The hospitals are stated there. This is Florida, their capital, Tallahassee, with their hospitals. This is the fifth one, and their phone number stated here. So North Carolina with their capital, the numbers, and all the operational and hospitals here. And finally, Massachusetts. I think this is the fourth one. The capital is Boston, and the last one is Pennsylvania. So Pennsylvania has a capital called Harrisburg. These are their hospitals and their numbers. Some of them didn't have numbers, some of them did. So most of them did. Only, I think, Harrisburg State Hospital didn't have a phone number to reach them on. So these are our partnered hospitals which serve as providers. So these are the ones giving us the clients, or let's say the patients who would receive our funds. So these providers serve as the main people bringing them forth, and they would receive an interest or share percentage to also help them. So this is the technical design notes. We would have a client tool requirement. So these a client or a patient will require the internet or Google Chrome, Firefox, Microsoft Edge, or any other browsing system. And also they would require an internet, a stable internet. The hosting platform would be Amazon Web Services. This is where we'll be hosting the website, which means the website would not be a static one. It would be a dynamic one, whereby it is only based on a web server or a cloud hosting website. So the OTP implementation will be made from Google Firebase. This will be handling the OTP implementation. The database that we will be creating will be from MongoDB. The front end will be created with Angular web language. The back end would also be created with Node.js, which is JavaScript. So the payment gateways will be the credit cards, the PayPal, Apple Pay, escrow provider interface. So these are the things that are included, or the technical aspects of the document. So it would include credit card details, information. So this is why it is needed, or this is why it is important to have a back-end team to handle the database, or else all these information could be leaked out and it could be harmful for both the organization, which is ABC, and also the clients and the providers and all the participating banks as well. So we move to the wireframe. This is a basic wireframe that I made to just describe the usage of this document, or what this document would be providing for its customers. So this is the AWS Cloud Server providing the database or the database system to both the browser's portal, the services portal, the provider's portal, and the lender's portal with their functions. So they would all serve specific functions as I stated in the project goals or the project overview. So the provider's portal would have the name of the doctor, a specific ID, the zip codes, the address of states, because we are in a lot of states, I think 5, as I stated earlier, in the partnered hospitals. They are in 5 states. So the borrower's portal, what they would be required of, the services portal, what they would be required of, and the participating banks, which is the lender's portal as well. So this is the final part of the document, which is the project estimation. So this is just to estimate the duration of the project. The gathering of requirements and the elicitation process took 3 days. The scope statement took 5 years to get. I had to get the stakeholder meeting with Mr. Boateng, which took like 8 hours to just talk and get to nail down the information required for this document or this project for it to work. So for the gathering requirements, it was I, as the project manager stated here. I also designed the scope statement. So with the stakeholder meeting for the approval of the scope statement, to make sure that the scope statement is according to what the stakeholders want and what meets the requirements of the organization, and that they agree with all these things before we move on. So it was all the stakeholders, the personnel involved was all the stakeholders. So the designing of the 4 portals will take 15 days. And this would be by the personnel would be the front end developers. The designing of the browser's portal could take 5 days. This is an estimation. It could take 2 days. Could take 2 days, but this is just to make sure that everything is perfect and there would be no problems at the end of the design and the implementation of the portal, of the form. So this form is very essential to the site, whereby it takes data and also stores the data in the back end. So this is where the APIs will be implemented behind the scenes by the backend developers, but basically the form for the browser's portal will be designed by the front-end developers. So implementation of the authorized.net payment gateway would take 5 days by the back-end developers. They would be the ones handling everything from start to finish. It will take 5 days for them to test it. After they've designed it, they will test it to make sure it is valid and it is strong and it is able to wear any kind of attack from cybersecurity or fraudsters, I see. So this is the credit score API integration. It would also take 5 days, and it will also be by the backend developers. So you can see that a lot of work is done by the backend developers. So the days have been extended to help them work efficiently. So the 2FA API integration with Google Firebase will take 3 days. As stated also by the backend developers will be working on this. So this is the OTP implementation, which will take 3 days. It will also be by them. They would be the backend, them being the backend developers. They would handle the on the phone implementation API. They would be the ones verifying and making sure that the APIs are well set and they are able to perform functionally to the task. We would be integrating an e-signing vendor, which is PandaDoc, as stated earlier, and it will be the backend developers also handling this. And we would have an implementation and testing session. This would be in 5 days to make sure that all we've done so far is up to date, and all we've done so far is perfect and it is good and it is able to do what it is set to do in this document. So this will be done by both the back end and the front end developers to make sure that both teams come together to make sure that all these things are working hand in hand. One of the APIs might not work during the implementation or testing. So they are able to work together to make sure that all these things work, all the features work together to make sure that the target goal is achieved. So this is my business requirement document for ABC Financial Group. I stated earlier, my name is Samuel Clotte. I'm the freelance project manager who designed this document. So yeah, this is the main contents of it. So I'm open to any questions that can come up or may come up from my presentation. So I'm open. Hello, guys.
Yes.
Hello, Nana.
Thank you so much for
I can hear you.
the presentation. I think that
Please, can you rephrase? I can't clearly hear you.
I'm saying great for
Okay.
your presentation. That's spot on.
Okay, thank
but
you.
I think my question is Nana. I think I remember in the meeting that we had last time, whether the scheduling or the project estimation, budgeting, and all those things are not part of what we are supposed to present. So I don't know. I need clarity on that because that's what I got from the meeting we had, and so that was not captured in mine.
Okay. So to answer your question, even though it wasn't captured, it's a prerequisite of every business requirement document because I would like my client, which is Mr. Boateng, to know the duration of the project. If I state all these things and he doesn't know how long it will take, he might just think that my work is just going to take so much time, and he would be interested in employing someone else to handle the document or the project. So in order for him to understand everything, even though I have stated clearly all these things, what it would be doing and the goals and the functions and everything, he needs to know the duration of each task. This is why I added the project estimation to let him know that these tasks will take this amount of days and it would be handled by this personnel. So in order not to create like a scenario where this personnel would be handling this other person's tax, so that he knows basically who is doing what and the days that it would require for who to do what. So if the gathering requirements, which is made by me, extends the 3-day period, I stated it here. So he would know, or he will be alerted to the fact that I stated it here that it would take 3 days. So how come is it taking, I think, 4 or 5 days, and it's going to be an issue? So this is just to show quality
Mr. Samuel,
on my part.
Mr. Samuel.
Yeah.
Mr. Samuel.
Yeah, I can hear you, sir.
I'm not sure I'm trying to fault you presenting.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I get you, sir. I get you, sir.
I'm just trying to bring clarity on the briefing that we had. From him, because that's what so I'm not saying that what you did is wrong.
I get you, sir. I get you, sir. Thank you so much. But I just wanted to clarify that the importance of me adding that feature, it's not something.
So I think I mentioned that for budget, right? If as an organization we're going to spend almost about $200,000, $300,000, whatever the amount might be for this project, the development team will not be the group to determine that. That is done at the executive level, right? So we don't have to worry about it. But the WBS, which is the work breakdown, which you have done, this is excellent. This is okay. We need to capture this. That's fine.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
All right, guys. Any question for Sammy? And then
so yes, so estimation.
Estimation.
Yes, your estimation.
Okay. Okay.
Don't you think your duration is too short of a time? Looking at the estimated time.
The estimated time.
Yes, the stakeholder has given you. You gave us 6 months, and I think you are using less than 2 months, if I'm not wrong.
2 months to do it. Yes. So in this scenario, it's because I as a freelancer, I have a group of people, a team that I work with. So I'm not a static worker as a freelancer, as I said. So these people are people that I trust and I know their capabilities and what they're able to do. So I have worked with them over some time, and they have worked on projects with me. So I know what they're able to do. And this is something that, as I said, based on other experiences I've had with them. This is
so
why
I get you.
time.
That's okay.
Yeah.
So having said that, are you saying you're able to develop these 4 portals? You guys saw 4 portals in
yes, sir.
In how many days? 15
so the
days?
4 portals will be created in 5 days.
In 5 days. Is that still not too short? Looking at
it is
the requirement.
It is based on the efficiency of my developers.
You can do that in 5 days, as you are saying.
Yeah, so
that's okay.
It is 15 days actually.
15 days, yes. It's 15 days.
15 days actually. Yeah. So I know the abilities of those who I work with. So I think they are able to handle everything. Yes,
that's okay. Yes. The share percentages with the providers. I think you mentioned that somewhere that there will be a shared percentage for the provider.
Yeah.
Can you clarify that? Because according to the stakeholder, if I'm not wrong, he said the providers are already a business, and we are already giving them more business.
Yeah.
So you mentioned shared percentage. I don't know if you are going to give them a percentage because it's already 60-40 with the lender and then the servicer. So what percentage are you then giving to the provider?
So I think I after questioning my stakeholder, I think during the requirement gathering process, we came to an understanding that even though the providers will be already making money, do you get it? They would be making money from their work in itself, and they would be paid from the money that has been lended by the providers. And they will be paid by the money that has been given by the lenders. I think I deem it fair after review with him that they would get, I think, a percentage if I got that right. Maybe I might have gotten that wrong from my elicitation gathering process, but I think
that's
that
okay. That's okay.
Yeah,
I'm sure the stakeholder will clarify that.
Yeah, I think
for us. And the last one was on the risk. I think the status. Yes, can we go to the risk?
Okay, I'm coming.
On the risk, I think I saw some of them not necessarily as risk.
Okay.
Server failures, data breaches. These are system failures. These are bound. Like they happen in a way.
Yeah.
Yes, but if you are looking at the core of a risk, in my estimation, I think service downtime. Yes, these are functionalities that you can equally sort out or solve as a system engineer and all that. Yes, so perhaps I think yes, buying is a great risk. That I totally agree with you. Yes, and then some of them I think we could have.
Okay, so to explain why I added these ones, I think it is just to ensure that no risk is left unknown to my stakeholder in case it happens, because risk is anonymous. Let's say it like that. It can happen at any point in time, and the websites or the portals would all be hosted on a cloud server. And as you know, with cloud servers, anything can happen. Do you get it? This is not a static website or a web page where it is based on excuse me, which is not a web page, which is built from scratch. So if it was built from scratch, these things could be fished out, and the chances of these things happening, I think the server failure canceled out, the data breaches, all these things, there are ways and means we could like handle them and make sure that they don't happen. But with the site mainly hosted on a cloud server, it is highly likely that these things happen. We could say that the borrower dying is one of the high risk and all these things, but you can see that if the domain name or the domain service goes on a downtime, it brings a faultiness to the whole page, because
Okay, the whole process gets started.
yes, the whole
That's fine.
functionality goes down. So no one will be able to access the web page. So that's why I thought it due to add these ones as risk that could partially or impartially bring down the project or the web page.
Thank you, Samuel. Thank you.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much.
Hello, Samuel.
Yes, sir.
It's Joshua here.
Okay, Joshua. Yeah.
Okay, Samuel, please, can you take us to your estimation point?
The estimations.
Just on the, yes, just on
which part?
The days.
The days of the estimations.
The testing. Yes.
The testing.
Specifically the testing.
The implementation and testing.
Yes.
Okay.
So
okay.
Yes. So 11. So you said we have 5 days for implementation and testing.
Yeah, they are both included in the 5 days. The implementation and the testing. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just wanted to point out that so in the discussions we've had, like in class, realize that the testing usually is in 2 phases. We're told that there's alpha testing and there's beta testing. So alpha, like within the team itself, we test the app to see if to be able to do what's supposed to do. And then even with the beta testing, where maybe you get a sample group of users to try out.
Outside users.
So the
user experience.
UAT, user acceptance testing, to see if it will be reliable and everything. So I just have a question back to do you think 5 days is sufficient to do that alpha testing and also do the beta testing and then make decisions, like do a report and everything within the 5 days?
Okay. So this is actually a good question, and I think
perhaps
that
if it's something that has.
You can go on, sir. Joshua, you were saying something.
Sorry, please go ahead.
Okay, so I think it is something that, as I said earlier, I might have only thought of the alpha testing, and maybe I might have, not even maybe, I might have left out the beta, whereby we could get in users, external users, or just maybe people, customers, to come and test the product. I think this is one thing that shouldn't, even though it wasn't discussed with the stakeholder as a developer or as a project manager, I should have added this. So I think it's something that I missed on my part. But I think based on the work that I have done with my team so far, I might have just included the implementation, where we implement all we've done and test the projects or the websites by ourselves. So that's why it is 5 days as it's stated there. I might have
any more questions?
Yeah, I might have left that part.
Okay. Any more questions?
That's great, Samuel.
Yeah.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Nana, please, I have, this is to Nana, please, I have a bit of a misunderstanding of risks. It seems like we didn't settle on it, what the risks means in a business requirement document. So if you can kindly clarify on that.
Yeah, we can talk about risks, maybe later. Even the timelines that he's giving, I think he said this project is going to be completed in like a month or something, or even if I'm the stakeholder, I give you guys 6 months. The 6 months can even be a risk, right? Because you guys will not have enough time to develop, not have enough time to do all the testings, etc. So even the short duration can even be a risk. to the project. So, but it's something that we can discuss later on. Anybody else has any question, anything, so we can move on. All right. Thank you very much, Samuel, for your detailed presentation as well. Let's go on to the next person. Whoever's the next person, go ahead and then kick off.
Hello. Hello, everybody.
Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead.
All right. My name is Reed Dago, and I'm a systems developer. And I'm here to introduce my business requirements documents for a system named Embedded Lending System, which is created for a client by the name ABC Financial Services. I interacted mainly with the CEO, who happens to be the executive sponsor. And I collected most of the
we are not able to see your screen, so if you can share your documents so we can follow along.
Oh, okay. Can you see it now?
Yes,
please.
Yes.
All right, thank you very much. So like I said, my name is Rick Daco, and I'm here to present my BRD, the business requirement document for the embedded lending system to be made for a client by the name ABC Financial Services. I will tackle items under a number of chapters, defenses, and then an introduction of the system, and then the business process model, the business context, the business rules, and then the system requirements, also items under the use case model, and then the appendices to wrap up. So moving into the first item, which is the approvals, I have a number of people who happen to be necessary in approving the project. The lead person being the executive sponsor, as well as the subject matter expert, who is by the name of Mr. Samuel Boateng, who also doubles as the business owner. And then we have the project sponsor being Rex Lawson, and then the senior project product manager, which is myself. We have some additional reviewers whose approval are not required, but then if their feedbacks are very necessary. As captured in capacity of corporate security, consumer lending compliance, wholesale lending compliance, enterprise payments, fraud and analytics, consumer payments. It goes on and on all the way to systems and technology support, and then the business information officer. The next is items under the document revision history. And the initial draft is on the 7th of November, which is by me. And then the final review and approval to be submitted on the 6th of 8, 2017. Some few artifacts here. I have some artifacts I gathered, some materials I gathered from studying the Klarna business keys and then the Affirm business keys, which happen to be businesses who are in the same domain or industry as ABC Financial Service. Next, I have something on the repositories. That's the artifacts and the materials for the project kept in two main repositories, one for the enterprise project repository, and then the other as a shared drive with their respective links. Next, I touch on the purpose of the document, and it reads that this document identifies the business requirements of the project. Approval of this document ensures that the business clients and the project team have a common understanding of the business requirements. And also serves as a business requirements baseline, which signifies the start of the change management process for any additions or deletions to the baseline business requirements, as well as forms the foundation of the system requirements, the project planning, the architecture and design, and then the other project-related activities. Coming into the responsibilities, it's stated that it is the responsibility of the project manager, the business analyst, the business client, and the project team to develop and complete the business requirement specifications. So then, about the overview of the project, I'm about to touch on the embedded lending system proper. Now, this is a project undertaken on behalf of ABC Financial Services, which happens to be the client. So this project is being done for ABC Financial Services. Now, ABC Financial Services is a financial company, an insurance company that specializes in selling insurance for medical needs that are not covered by traditional insurance companies. So then they are trying to work their way into a niche in providing services for what the mainstream financial companies or competitors are not into. Now, the project will produce a system that will enable patients to apply for insurance to fund medical procedures like dental care and also other services like veterinary care for their animals, their pets. The system will have the following facets. It will have a lender's portal. By definition, a portal will be a web application interface for undertaking lender activities like depositing funds into an account called the escrow. Now, it will be for use by the client, ABC Financial Service. So actually, ABC Financial Service here does not have money on its own. The money is coming from support banks. And so they deposit or they fund the business operations of ABC Financial so that ABC will be able to give out credits. Now, this portal is where financial institutions behind the scene accept to deposit into a fund that support the lending or insurance business of ABC Financial Service. The ABC Financial Service will then agree to share the interest at 40-60 with the lending companies, the lending banks. So whatever interest accrues from the transactions, from the operations, they'll split 40-60 with the participating banks. Now, every participating bank has a minimum deposit of $500 and a maximum deposit of $40,000 into the escrow account. The other portal or the other facet of the system will be the borrower's portal. And by definition, this portal will be a web application interface for undertaking borrower activities like signing onto the system and making loan repayments, as well as doing or modifying biodata information or personal data, personal information. The next item or the next facet of the system is the servicer portal, which is a web application interface for undertaking servicer activities like customer support. By the way, the servicer, by definition here, is a group of users, something more of customer support, who are based in the premises of ABC Financial Service. So more or less, they actually represent ABC Financial Service, that's services, support services from ABC Financial Service. And their support is rendered to borrowers, lenders, and providers. So the borrowers, lenders, and providers actually happen to be the other stakeholders in the system. And so the servicer uses, or the servicer portal will be used to interface with these other stakeholders and help them through using the system. The service users are based at the client, like I said. They represent ABC Financial Services. And also their portal will manage borrowers' applications and take care of need further reviews. So as situations where experts will have to come in and clarify issues regarding the system. These will be the responsibilities of the servicer users, and they will use a servicer portal to do that. Other functions of the services will be monitoring applications within periods, amounts received and disbursed, and then statuses of applications are also part of the responsibilities of the servicer user. The next facet is the provider portal, and this would be a web application interface for undertaking provider activities like signing on to the system and initiating registration for patients. So the provider here will be the service providers, that's the nurses and doctors who will sign onto the platform and then render healthcare services to the patients. And they will use the provider portal to do that. Now, we next move into the scope of the system. The scope of the system is covered in the functions of this embedded lending system as expressed in the activities or the functions of the various user groups by name: the lender user group, the provider user group, the servicer user group. Like I mentioned earlier, the lenders will users or user group will manage activities relating to the lending or the lending from the banks, the deposit of funds from the banks, and interfaces with the system through the lender's portal. The lender will also use the same lender interface to make deposits into the escrow account. The provider here, the provider group, will manage the healthcare service side of the system. Services such as procedure scheduling, activities such as procedure scheduling, and changing of biodata information or personal information. And then they interface with the system through the provider portal, and also the servicer user who will manage customers, that is the borrower or the patient relations, and interface through the servicer portal. They inspect and approve or disapprove registration of borrowers, lenders, and providers in the system. They perform tasks such as examination of registration and sign-ons, authorizing earnings, and executing accounting operations for borrowers, lenders, and providers in the system. Next, I will touch on the business case. Over here in this section, there's a few, just a little to talk about here. There is the business case 1 and the business case 2 that happen to be conclusions on studies made in the field of embedded lending, and they are covered in this link. The next item to touch on will be the in-scope functions. The in-scope functions covered in this document will be the first item being the creation of a provider accounts. The next one being the approval of a provider account. And by every function, there is a user who is authorized to perform that function. So the first function being the creating of provider accounts will be the task of either the servicer or the administrator of the system. And the next item being the approval of provider account creations will be either the services or the administrator. Then we have disapproval of provider accounts, which is either by the servicer or administrator. We have the sort of loan accounts in the situations of running views or reports. And we have approval of loan applications. So when an application comes through, the servicer or the administrator will have the rights to approve or to disapprove. Then we have viewing of loan applications, viewing of loan repayments, viewing of loan defaults. These are all views and report functions that can be performed by the servicer, the admin, or the borrower. So here, the borrower can see all loan applications are undertaken, as well as see all loan repayments he has made, as well as view all defaults. And likewise, the servicer and the administrator can do same. And then we have the system to be able, or must be able to trigger a 1% principal discount when an applicant chooses auto payment the first time. And this will be the task of the development team or the system itself. It should be coded into the system to perform this functionality. Then escalation of applications to collection status when repayment defaults on 3 occasions. This can be handled by the system, can be programmed into the system, or the administrator can manually take care of this activity. And then there must be a website greeting page that should have a carousel depicting services of the clients. This will be taken care of by the developers. And then the system must permit multiple loan applications. So in the situation where a person is servicing a loan, has taken a loan, or has applied for a loan, while the person is repaying or paying for the loan, the person should be able to be eligible for taking another loan or applying for another loan based on certain conditions. The next item is modification of servicer biodata or personal information. And that can be done by the servicer or the administrator. Then the next function is modification of provider biodata or personal information. That can be taken care of by the administrator or the servicer. Then modification of lender biodata can be taken care of by the administrator or the lender. Then modification of borrower's information or biodata can be taken care of by the administrator or the borrower. Creation of servicer accounts. The servicer or the admin can do that. Creation of provider accounts can be done by the servicer or the admin, or can be initiated as per the discussions with the executive sponsor, can be initiated by the provider, the service provider, the nurse or the doctor. The creation of lender's accounts, that should be the responsibility of the admin or the servicer. Borrower registration modification. The servicer or the admin will be the ones responsible for that. Then disapproval of lender accounts. That will be the responsibility of the admin or the servicer. Then creation of servicer accounts, the admin, approval of servicer accounts, disapproval of servicer accounts. These will be on the shoulders of the admin. Then we have the initiation of the borrower registration. Now, that will be the task of the provider. So when the provider starts the process, the borrower would then continue to supply the rest of the details to conclude on the application. Then we have scheduling of procedures in the system. That will be the provider's duty. Then we have marking of procedure status. So when a procedure has been kicked into action, whatever the status is can be the duty of the provider to do. And we have a repayment of loans. The borrower's task will be that. Creation of the escrow account will be on the shoulders of the servicer or the admin. And then deposit into the escrow account. That can be handled by either the lender, the servicer, or the admin. Then approval and disapproval of escrow deposits. That will be, that is the authorization of deposits. That will be the duties of either the admin or the servicer, who are both based with the client, ABC Financial Service. Then viewing of escrow deposits within a period. So this is a report function. and the admin, servicer, and lender should all have the ability to perform this task. Then we have viewing of earnings or interest within the period. That can be done by the admin, the servicer, or the lender. Then we have lender logins, servicer logins, admin logins. These are actually self-descriptive. So login functions to be performed by these user groups, as well as logout functions. And all these functions will be logged in the system for audit trailing. The next item will be checking of credit score of the applicants. This will be hard-coded into the system to be a functionality that will be put into the system by the developers. Then a procedure date should not be more than 60 days into the future when scheduling a procedure. So this will also be set up into the system. And then we have something about pre-population of service registration page with hospital data at the point of application of from a borrower. This should be handled by the system. Then we have the audit trailing functionalities. It should be a system thing. The system should take care of that. So the developers will ensure to that. The next item to touch on will be the in-scope statements. So it reads, design, develop, test, implement, and support an embedded lending application, which includes portals and functionalities for borrowers, lenders, services, and providers. 2, design and document all relevant end to end business processes and will include end-to-end application testing, policy and procedure testing for deployment, performance or stress testing, testing of dual operating environment, training, delivery, testing, and business continuity or disaster recovery testing. The 4th item will be the piloting and deploying of the embedded lending system, followed by a controlled rollout. 5th, design and implement a plan to support back office users during system installation and launching. 6th, the system will include all required functional capabilities based on the business requirement flow. 7th, implement the embedded lending solution adhering to the money lending and insurance regulations to the extent possible to address business audit and compliance needs. And 8, implement insurance and money lending functions for monetary transactions, global system functionality such as navigation, screen design, electronic journaling. 8, that's a 9th item, implement insurance and money lending reporting and analysis functions and identify desired but not standard functions. And then item number 10, implement insurance and money lending fraud functions and identify for executive level decision any desired but not standard functions. 11, implement insurance and money lending licensed compliance functions and identify level decision any desired but money lending fee related functions and identify for executive level decision any desired but not standard functions. Hello there, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Nice. And 13, hide or disable transaction functions that will not be executed within the embedded lending payments application use of other application. The 14th item, integration with deposit risk engine for deposit transactions, dependency on the DRE project. The 15th, integration with Payments Hub for payment transactions, dependency on the Payments Hub project. 16th, introduction of virtual items to replace standard paper items. 17th, implementing comprehensive change management plan that includes training, communication, and adoption for all impacted front office teammates, application back-end teammates, and vendor partners of new feature functionality. 18, develop and implement a communication and readiness plan for impacted players. The 19th, educate and train all ongoing production support staff for infrastructure application software. 20th, build the infrastructure system required to support and maintain development, testing, production, and training environments. 21st, education and training of development team on embedded lending application development standards and guidelines. 22nd, install or refresh equipment in production and training locations, as in the servers, the workstations, the scanners, the receipt printers, and other peripherals. And the 23rd, the embedded lending program will encompass the end-to-end transaction lifecycle. 24th, file transmission to transaction gateway will be included. And then 25th, integration and implementation of APIs from the Equifax for credit score assessment. The out-of-scope functions will include the funds transfer, referral module and components, centralized business rules manager as an administration, the centralized business rules manager, skill profile, investment to provider, collection transactions, that's when repayments are defaulted, cancellation of scheduled procedures, ACH money transfers, advertising module and components, servicer to borrower telephone conversations, extra provider to patient interactions and corporations, extra servicer to provider interactions and corporations, then extra servicer to lender interactions and corporations. The next item will be the out-of-scope statements. Now, the system will not manage repayment defaults that escalate into collection mode. The ACH money transfer and bank draft payments are outside the scope of the solution. CRM is beyond the system. ERP is beyond the scope of the system. Payroll accounting is beyond the scope of the system. And then inventory accounting will be beyond the scope of the system. The next item to touch on will be the business context. And I have a diagram here. I have the repayment process, which starts when a cron job is processed. And then the system initiates a card test on the borrower's card for sufficient funds using the API. And then on success, the system deducts amount from the debit card of the borrower into the account of ABC Financial Services. And then the process flow for the processing of a loan application. The business, it starts when the borrower submits the application. Next, the customer relations user inspects the application. Next, the user initiates card test on the borrower's card for sufficient funds using the API. And then next, on success, the borrower's ID number is checked against the national database using the API. And then on success, the borrower's credit score is checked with Equifax. The next process will be, on success, the loan confirmation approval is sent to the borrower via SMS and email. The next item to touch on will be the business rules. Now, the purpose of this section is to identify all of the business rules determined by the business requirements and use cases. Due to the iterative nature of the project, business rules will be documented within system requirements and use cases per function assigned to each iteration of work. The rules should be phrased as when, if, then, or if, then, else, when possible, and it should include if error messages should be displayed. So an example, if a borrower fails to turn up for a procedure, the repayment will still be deducted. Now, the 1% discount given to borrowers who opt for auto only applies when option is made at the point of application. And then if a borrower defaults for 3 times, then the account goes into collection mode with the credit bureau. The next item to touch on will be the business functional requirements. Now, the business functional requirements, the first item will be the maximizing of profits by venturing into an insurance niche rejected by other competitors and reduce operational risk by implementing the system. So here, ABC Financial Services is looking at making profit here because others are not venturing into the same domain. For that reason, there's no competition. The next item is enabling the implementation of attractive insurance packages through enhanced lending strategies and peripherals. The next business functional requirement is reducing fiscal reliance on paper through the introduction of automated systems. The next item is expanding the insurance customer base. The next business functional requirement is providing an exciting collection of packages to insurance consumers. And then reducing fraud losses through enhanced fraud detection capabilities. Then increase revenue through the support of sales referral capabilities. And then the next will be increasing customer satisfaction and addressing known client complaints. The next business functional requirement will be the introduction of automated controls in support of sustainable processes where possible. And then the next will be increasing speed to proficiency for insurance sellers, including new hires. Next is increasing efficiency for people, processes, and technology. Then it will also reduce third-party costs through the reduction in paper processing. It will also increase fee revenue collection by improving processes and implementing controls. It will also reduce consumer operation costs through the automation of controls. And then finally, reduce fraud losses through enhanced and expanded client authentication capabilities. The business non-functional requirements have been documented at a high level. The BNFRS will be detailed out in conjunction with system requirements gathering according to the functionality included in each iteration of work, as well as in accordance with the timelines of other tracks of included work, testing, training, deployment, communications, etc. We have some of the non-functional requirements being ensuring that the procedure date is not more than 60 days into the future. This I collected to be a non-functional requirement. The next will be pre-population of the registration page with hospital data, and then implementation of a two-factor authentication using authorized.net. Though this will help to send OTP through SMS and email to patients for completion of the registration process, it was gathered to be an non-functional requirement. The next will be an audit trail functionality. Then the system must integrate PandaDoc for electronic signing of loan documents. Another non-functional business requirement to be the sending of payment receipt through email and SMS, and then sending of payment alert to the customer 3 days prior to due date through email and SMS. Question of the board. The next one is Apple Pay as well as bank draft payments. Next item will be the retrieval and printing of and another non-functional requirement to be deduction of repayment from bank accounts. Another one would be an application of the 15% interest to the principal. Then another will be a checking of the escrow account for funds availability prior to a sign-on. Then we have the system must make terms of service visible and available on the registration page. That's also a non-functional requirement. Then the borrower account should be closed after repayment is complete. Another will be password reset. Should go through email for reroute to finalize a reset. And the next will be a username should be or should have a minimum of 5 alphabets and a maximum of 15 alphabets. The system should be a single domain platform. That's also another non-functional requirement. And that the differentiation of the platform should be by user accounts. That is when the user logs into the system or clicks on the account link. There should be 4 different tabs for the user to choose, either a servicer tab, lender tab, provider tab, or a borrower tab. The next will be a link to log in should be placed at the top right corner of the greeting page. That was also a non-functional requirement. Then next, on clicking on the login, the user should see different tabs representing the login app. Touched on this already up here. Then the next item will be the password should be a combination of numbers, alphabets, and special characters, and must be between 8 to 25 characters. Another non-functional requirement will be the 3 login attempts should lock the page and seek administrators' help. The next non-functional requirement will be that the system must not allow single sign-ons, as in the use of Google and Yahoo sign-ons. And then the last one gathered will be that the website of the system should be able to support about 500,000 users at a time concurrently. The next item to touch on will be the use cases. So I gathered some few actors and then the description of their activities in the embedded lending system. The first activity is creation of a provider account, which will be the duty or the activity of the servicer, the admin, or provider. They can all create provider accounts. Then approval of provider accounts will be by either the servicer or the admin. Disapproval of provider accounts by either the servicer or the admin. So the servicer or the admin will be able to perform disapproval of provider accounts initiation, searching of loan applications, approval of loan applications, disapproval of loan applications. The servicer, the admin, the borrower should be able to take care of viewing of loan applications, loan repayments, and then loan defaults. The system should take care of the triggering of the 1% principal discount when applicant chooses auto payment at the first time of application. The servicer, admin, or the system should take care of escalating application to collection status when repayment defaults 3 times. And then the development team will have to come up with a website that has a greeting page with a carousel that depicts the services of ABC Financial Services. Then the next activity will next for activity will be modification of the servicer biodata, which will be the duty of the servicer or the admin. Modification of provider biodata, which will be the duty of the admin, the provider, or the servicer. Modification of lender biodata will be the duty of the lender, admin, or servicer. The modification of borrower biodata will be the duty of the servicer, so the borrower, the admin, or the servicer. Then creation of servicer accounts will be on the shoulders of the servicer or the admin. Creation of a provider account will be on the shoulders of the servicer or the admin. Creation of a lender account and permitting a borrower registration modification will be all on the shoulders of the servicer or the admin, as well as disapproving of a lender account. The admin will be able to take care of these 3 activities: creation of servicer account, approving of servicer account, disapproving of servicer account. And then the provider will be able to take care of these 2 activities, that is initiation of a borrower registration and the scheduling of a procedure. Then, as well as the marking or setting the status of a procedure. The servicer or admin should be able to take care of the activity of creating an escrow account. Then the lender, servicer, or the administrator will take care of depositing into the escrow account. The servicer or the admin will take care of approving the escrow deposit. And the lender, servicer, the admin will take care of viewing the escrow deposit within a period. This is a view or report function. And the lender, servicer, or admin will be able to view interest earnings within a period. The lender will take care of logging into the lender portal. The servicer will be able to take care of logging to the servicer portal. The admin log into the admin portal. The borrower log into the borrower portal. Provider logging into the provider's portal. The lender, servicer, admin, and provider, as well as the borrower, will all be able to log out of the system. Next, the system must be able to check the credit score of the applicant. The system must be able to check if the date is not more than 60 days into the future. That's the procedure date. And then the next, pre-population of server registration page with hospital information will be the duty of the system. That it must be programmed in it. We have audit trailing to be part of the system. We have the servicer, admin, provider taking care of creation of a provider account, approving a provider account to be the duty, the task of the servicer or admin. The servicer or admin will be able to do the next 4 activities. That is disapproving provider account, searching loan applications, approving loan applications, and disapproving loan applications. The next 3 items can be taken care of by the servicer, admin, or provider. And these are viewing loan applications, viewing loan repayments, and viewing loan defaults. The next item will be taken care of by the system itself. That's triggering the 1% principal discount when the applicant chooses auto repayment. Now, the last item will be the task of the servicer admin or the system itself. And that will be the escalation of the repayment to collection status when the repayment defaults on 3 occasions. There seem to be more non-functional requirements here. So to continue, creating a provider account, this part deals with description of the activities. So the creation of a provider account, the functionality that enables the creation of the provider account, a proven provider account. This will enable a functionality that will enable the approval of the provider account by the servicer or the admin. Then there's approving of provider's account. That's a functionality that will enable disapproval of the account of the provider. Search and loan applications. This function enables the search of loan applications in the situation of attempting to get details on a particular loan to take certain actions. And it's approving loan applications functionality that enables disapproving of specific loans applied. Then viewing loan applications, that's a function that enables the viewing of loan application details. Then viewing loan repayments and defaults, functions that take care of seeing details for loan of the principal discount. The principal discount check in the system is a functionality that triggers the 1% discount on the principal when applicant chooses the auto payment when doing the application for the first time. If the applicant actually misses this opportunity, it never applies. Escalating of application to collection mode. This means whenever the borrower defaults 3 times, the loan is escalated or taken to the credit bureau for further action. Marketing carousel and website. The website should be able to provide marketing images to promote the services and operations of ABC services on the website. Permitting multiple loan applications. This function actually grants permissions for a borrower to take another loan while servicing one. It's all based on or down to certain conditions. And then we have the next activity being a modification of the servicer biodata or personal information. And this function takes care of allowing the servicer to be able to make changes to personal information of the servicer. Then we have modifying the provider's biodata, modifying the lender's biodata, and then modifying the borrower's biodata. All these are respective functions that enable the various user groups to be able to make changes to their personal information. Creating the next task or activity will be creating a servicer account. And this function enables creation of an account for a servicer user. So that's a user who is based with the ABC financial service, that is the client. Then the next task would be the creating of a provider account, which is a function that enables creation of an account for the provider. Then next we have creating of a lender account, which says all for itself, enables creation of an account for a lender. Then borrower registration modification. This will allow a borrower to be able to make changes to registration details. Lender's account disapproval, to block or to disapprove a lender's account, that's a contributing bank. This function is what enables that. Then we have a service account creation function that enables creation of a service account by the administrator. The service account approval and disapproval. So these functions will be performed by the administrator to approve or disapprove the account of the servicer. Then we have a borrower's registration initiation, which is a function that enables initiation of borrower's registration by the provider. Then we have a procedure scheduling function that enables scheduling of a procedure. Those will be done by the provider. Then the procedure status function. This one is when the status of a procedure that has been set by the provider is known. After a procedure finishes, the provider will then have to mark that that event or activity by flagging it as completed. The next is loan repayment. Function enables the borrower to the escrow account creation function helps in creating or setting up the escrow account. This is the duty of the administrator. The depositing of funds into the escrow account is a function that enables the lender to put funds or money into the escrow account. Then the escrow deposit confirmation. Whenever a deposit is made by a lender, there should be a confirmation, and the lender would take care of this. Viewing of the escrow deposits is a function, is a report. So this one report to see all deposits within a period, and then logging into the lender's portal, the servicer portal, admin, borrower, and provider. These functions enable the various stakeholder users, that is the lender, servicer, admin, borrower, and provider, to be able to enter into the system and make use of it. Then we have logging out functionality or task to be performed by the servicer, provider, borrower, and lender. These functions allow these user groups to be able to get out of the system and record the time of exit. Then we have the credit score check, which is a function based in the system itself, programmed into the system that uses APIs to check the credit score, credit worthiness of the applicant. Then we have the procedure date check, which is coded into the system to check the date of procedure to ensure that it's not 60 days into the future. Then we have data pre-population, which happens to
Hello, Mr. Dakon.
Yes, sir.
Just a gentle reminder, it looks like your battery, I hope it can carry us all through.
Yeah, I will take care of that. So can I continue, please?
Yes, please.
Yeah. So we have the next being the viewing of the audit trail. That's the system should be able to log all activities performed by any user in the software. The next task will be the creation of a provider account, which should be a function that enables the provider to initiate an account creation for himself. And this will be authorized or will be completed or approved by the administrator or the servicer in the offices of ABC Financial Services. Then the next will be an approval of the provider's account, which I just spoke about, the disapproval of the provider account, which is a function that helps to disapprove or turn down an account creation by a provider. Then the next task will be the searching of loan applications, which is a function that enables searching for details pertaining to a particular loan application. Then we have the approval of loan applications and the disapproval of loan applications. These functions enable the administrator or the servicer user to approve or disapprove loan applications. Then we have the next will be the viewing of loan informations and then loan repayments. This, as it speaks for itself, will enable the authorized user to view loan details pertaining to a particular loan or a set of loans, as well as the repayments. Then the next activity or task will be the loan defaults view, which is a view or report that enables an authorized user to be able to see all details pertaining to a defaulted repayment. Then the next functionality being a triggering of a principal discount, which will be built into the system to apply a 1% principal discount when an applicant chooses auto repayment at the point of the application, applying for the loan. Then escalation of repayment to collection mode. This is a function that will be taken care of manually by a servicer user who is based in the premises of ABC Financial Services, who will see certain loans that have been defaulted a number of times, 3 times actually, and then will process the loan to a collection status with the credit bureau. The next item to talk about will be the glossary. So I compiled something briefly about some of the terms that might need definition. Something on the MongoDB database that will be used in the back end of that's the database and of the system. We have a little description here. Then we have something about the EC3 mentioned by the stakeholder, and that happens to be Elastic Cloud Computing Cluster. So that's a tool that creates elastic virtual clusters on top of infrastructure that helps in rendering IaaS services in the cloud. And this needs definition, so I gathered it here. Then we have something on Lambda, which was mentioned by the stakeholder, and then AWS serverless, all these defined here. We also have something on RESTful, which happens to be an architecture, and I've gathered a fine definition over here. We have Angular, which is a platform framework for building single-page client applications, which is also gathered briefly over here. Then Firebase, Twilio being a developer platform for communications. It will be used in the development. It was also briefly defined over here. Then we have the two-factor authentication, which is also defined as a feature into digital platforms. Now, the platforms can offer credit to their customers through a familiar interface at the point of demand creation, rather than having to redirect them to a third-party site. Now, a system that is tailored to offer insurance packages to customers who need money to undertake healthcare procedures not covered by a mainstream insurance company. So that's an example of embedded lending here, as practiced or operated by ABC Financial Service. And the stakeholders in the system, as in brief definitions over here. So the service of being a user of the embedded lending system who is based at the offices of ABC Financial Services and charged with the duties to support customers and borrowers, the healthcare service providers, the lending banks with operations-related difficulties. Then the borrower, being a user of the embedded lending system who is applying for credit to undertake a procedure, and the provider being the user of the embedded lending system who provides healthcare services to patients. In this regard, the doctor or the nurse. Then we have the lender being a user of the embedded lending system who makes funds available to support the lending business operations of ABC Financial Services. So this brings me to the end of my presentation of my business requirements document. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, so guys, any question, any question for Reid? You guys don't have any question?
Hello. Joshua here.
Yes, sir.
Yes, I first of all want to congratulate Reid because his work is very, very detailed. Yes, but what I want to say is actually we didn't see anything on exclamation point, but I believe that as we've seen in other presentations, like Reid would already know that maybe he would put it in after a review. So I think, yeah, so it's very detailed, and I just like how
yes,
it goes with the use cases. It specifies everything and gives all those details. Yeah, so great job, Reid.
Thank you very much, Joshua. You are absolutely right. I must confess here that this documentation was made without the availability of certain parts, like the diagrams, the use cases, and the rest. They were not ready. They were separately being prepared and were not ready when the submission date arrived. So I had no choice than to submit. Okay, and hoped that I'll be given the opportunity to provide them afterwards. But you're right, they are not in there, and I admit.
Okay, that's great, Reid. I was actually referring to, I was saying that like thumbs up for the use cases you have detailed here. But I was actually talking about the estimation point, like the timeline for the delivery of the product. But yeah, like you said, great work, big man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you very much for your compliment. The timelines too were part of the other set of materials I was preparing to integrate. Unfortunately, the timelines and the rest were not ready. But if given the opportunity, I'll provide them and then re-present.
Mr. Darko.
Great job again.
Thanks, sir.
Reid.
Hello.
Yes. I so I enjoy the praise the law and say that that is a great job. Very detailed, taking every aspect of it into consideration. My only clarification that I'm seeking is, I think somewhere where you give us the business cases of some existing documents that you cited.
Yeah.
Are we able to see that? I don't know. I saw in one of the, I think the early parts of your presentation, which you made reference of some business cases that are already existing that you are kind of referring to. Is it in this document?
No, it's not part of the document. I was actually referring to research I did on Klarna and Affairs.
Yes, can you go ahead?
Hello.
Go to that page. Can you lead us to that page? Yeah.
Okay. This side, right?
Yes, this particularly this. Yes. Okay, so you said it's a research you did, right?
Come again?
Did you say it's a research you conducted? Personal research you did?
Yes. I went there to study how the website is, how their business processes are, because their business relates that of ABC Financial Service. And I had some insights and some inspirations from there, which helped in composing this document. So yes, I actually visited those sites.
Awesome. That is great. That is a great job. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Hello.
Do we have any further question for Darko, or you guys are good?
Yeah. Hello, Nana.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I have a question for Reed.
Okay.
Yeah, Reed. I wanted to see if you can you go to where you display the partners or like the list of hospitals that are inclined or in partnership with ABC, because I quite remember that the stakeholder mentioned that we should actually add a list of hospitals and then add their info, address, and all those kind of stuff. So I just wanted to know if you were able to add that into your project.
Thank you very much, sir. That is not part of the document, please.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Why so?
I must confess here that I missed it. Interestingly, I know while preparing this document, a lot actually went into certain areas. A lot of the effort went into certain areas, and I must say that by the time I knew, I've spent lots of my energy on these areas and forgotten the others. And so this is to my discredit. This is my discredit, and I take note of it.
Oh, okay. It's no problem. But like I like how detailed your work is, and it's like very, very detailed. Everything is on point, and it's really good. So apart from that, I think that's all. Your work is very classified, and it's good. It's good. So well done.
Thank you very much, sir. Can I say something, Sam?
Yeah, you can.
I must confess here, the absence of the diagrams actually makes my work, the wireframes, the use cases, the business processes, especially when I saw the presentation of Enam and then the first person, Kweku, I realized that I need to redo this document. Yeah, I realized it. So then, guys, apologies for that, for missing all those parts.
Problem.
Okay.
Reed.
Yes, sir.
I have Just a straightforward question. You put some, is it code besides your tabulation? If you can explain it, codes. I saw it in the sample requirement document given to us. I didn't understand, but if you can explain what the codes mean.
Which
it's not
area?
If you can scroll up a bit, I saw some codes 10.
Those. Okay, those are
Yes.
just serial identifiers or serial numbers.
Okay, so there's no meaning to
there's no
those
meaning, just for identification.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome, sir.
Hello, and finally, Reid, on the when you go to the top, I think on top of approvals, if you could, I think the date for your draft and then the date for submitting for review.
Yeah, 2017.
I think that there's just a small typo there. Yes, aha. I know it's just a typo, but just bringing it to your attention.
This one.
Is it?
This.
Yes.
Yeah, you're right, sir. You're right. I'll take care of it.
Yeah.
That's woeful.
Great work, by the way.
Thank you very much, sir. Sam.
Yeah, Reid, I'm here.
With your permission, I would like to know if you will permit that I consult Enam Kweku for certain parts of their presentation, at least for inspiration, so I can incorporate and represent, if you wouldn't mind.
I'm not sure it would be a problem, but I think the main stakeholder has the main say in here, but I don't think it would be a problem. If we are all up for review, after the presentation, I think we will find out the particular aspects of our projects or our documents that need clarification, where we need to add and where we need to remove things. So if you've seen aspects where you think you need to add things, and why not?
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay, so great presentations so far this morning. I just want to congratulate you all. There's a reason why I do this, because in real life, you guys will be doing a lot of presentations. You guys will be liaising with different stakeholders, both internal and client users and external and client users alike, different vendors, partners, etc. And so presentation is like I said, so I think I sent it out yesterday, a critical component of what you guys will be doing. And so I do this so that you guys can at least simulate that kind of experience. You not be talking to yourself. You're going to have different people. And sometimes you take your project up, there's going to be questions and critique coming from different places, etc. And you got to be ready to defend your document, right? And so that's why we do this, so that at least you guys can at least know what is coming ahead and then be prepared in advance as well. So this is good. Again, number two, why I do this is that if looking at other people's presentation, like Reid, just mentioned, there's a lot of inspiration to pick up from some of this presentation. There's a lot of things that you guys can learn from each other. If you looking at what somebody has done and you look at what you have done, sometimes for initial projects like this, I do not really go hard on you guys and rate you guys and say you did a very bad job or you did whatever. I don't do that. but I want you to be able to rate your own self, right? Now that you've seen other people's work, you kind of compare that to your work, and then you'll be able to judge your own self and say, wow, I think I didn't do very well in this area. I think I did great over here. What am I missing? Where do I, put in the missing pieces, etc. Right? So the idea here is that you continue to learn from each other, and then wherever that you think you're like, okay, you're missing out, make sure that you're able to fill in the blank spots, right? So it's very important. I'm not going to be judging you on your first presentation, etc. Some of you, this is new. You've never done this before, so why should I, judge anybody, right? So it's a learning process. It's a learning curve in there, and I want you guys to learn. That is the objective here. So look at whatever you have done, look at other people's work, and we'll continue tomorrow morning as well. Be able to now, pick up your own work, look at what other people are doing, the level of detail. People are very thorough with the requirement, the way they describe different segments, project overviews, the scope, etc., solution. I mean, I gave you guys template. The idea behind template is that be inspired by this template. Pick up whatever that you can from that template. Lift it, bring it over, change some of the wording, change it to suit the specific project, right, that we're talking about here. And that is the exact thing that I see that some of you have done. Some of you too, you miss out on that, maybe direction or instruction that I provided. But moving forward, all subsequent projects, I would want to see some level of detail, some level of, thoroughness, right? Very, very important. Somebody mentioned something about, can you guys collaborate or something? Hey, no, you guys are, free to form WhatsApp groups. I know some of my previous badges, they did it, right? They had groups by themselves, so they were able to get together, collaborate, and this is all very, very important. Collaboration is important as well. So make sure that, if you guys want to form groups, etc., go over your work, ask questions, critique each other, so that, your final submissions are great. That is the only way that, you guys can maybe get better. One thing that I would say also is that timing, right? So timing is very, very important when you invite, VPs, vice presidents for different things and different places, marketing, compliance, etc. You do not want to bore them, right? You do not want to waste their time. And so when you set up a meeting, usually meetings are like 1 hour, maybe 30 minutes, whatever. Make sure that, you will not put them to sleep, right? Make sure that you will not put your audience to sleep. Make sure to be very terse, straight to the point. Talk about, whatever that, they need to know, whatever that, you guys are at the point in time, go straight to it, and then not talk through the whole entire time and not give them chance to ask questions or whatever, right? Make sure that, you break that time that you've allotted. Maybe it's 1 hour, which is 1 hour. Make sure you have maybe 20 minutes to talk about the project, and then give 15 minutes for critique, whatever, and then give another maybe 10 minutes for follow-up questions or whatever, so that, maybe the final revision or final draft of the document, can be updated with all the needed information, etc. So make sure that you're working with time, right? I'm saying it's very important. Some of you sticking to the time, some of you going over. It's all good. Like I said, this is first time, first presentations, etc. We are simulating how things are going to be in the real world, right? And so, corrections are going to come in. I'm going to be listening in, evaluating your, how you're presenting. All it's very, very important. So make sure that time management is key, right? Time management. Make sure that you'll not just be going through the presentation, but also be watchful, be mindful of other people's time, right? So keep that in mind. As you're presenting, be watching on your side, whether you have the time on your phone or wristwatch, whatever. Make sure that, not just you're in presentation mode, and so you're not able to look at the time and see what's going on, right? Very important. But overall, I like all the detail that I'm beginning to see, and I know the rest of you will be, whole Kickstarters tomorrow morning. You guys will also do a good job. And again, let me also apologize that we've gone over 17 minutes, right? So let me apologize for that. I know it's supposed to be 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. It's already 9:17 here. And I know it's already, you guys are also seeing the same thing. So 17 minutes over the time. I apologize for that. We're gonna try as much as we can to, stick within the time. So thank you guys. Anything within 30 seconds, and then we'll come back tomorrow morning.
Thank you, Sam.
All right, so thank you guys. We will reconvene here, tomorrow morning. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, guys. All
right, thank you, sir.
Okay, bye.